One Piece Chapter 1086. The Lavali concludes before news of Nefertari Cobra's death was announced. Both his and Vivi's sudden disappearance prompted Agaram, Chaka, and Pell to search everywhere for them. Unbeknownst to both of them, Vivi and Wapol had stowed away on a ship leading to the Aegis Kingdom. Wapol contacts Morgans asking him to pick the both of them up, which he agrees to due to Wapol telling Morgans that he was now the subject of a manhunt after what he just witnessed in the empty throne room. Vivi asks him what exactly he saw there, but he refuses to divulge that information, instead telling her to leave him alone and go back to her own ship. Vivi refuses as she understands how dangerously persistent CP0 will be in recapturing her, regardless of how much protection she has. She asks Wapol for the Den Den Mushi he used to contact Morgan so she could notify her father, but he refuses in a panic, stating that it is the last thing she should do, confusing her more. Jewelry Bonnie, meanwhile, had snuck aboard a ship heading for Tajin Kingdom, while an injured Sabo hitched a ride on a ship from the Luluja Kingdom. Once the stories started spreading about what happened, the five elders discussed what to do with Sabo now that he knows the truth about the empty throne, as they also wanted to deal with the egghead issue. Just then, Amu contacts the five of them and tells them that the time has come to use one of Dr. Vegapunk's inventions, the Mother Flame. The elders agree that it is time to test its capabilities, with Egghead potentially considering changing its response depending on the outcome. As they decide to pick a forest area for a testing ground, Amu simply says they want the testing site to be the Luluja Kingdom due to its close proximity, regardless of the people living on the island. The five elders comply with Imu's orders as their names and titles are revealed. The warrior god of science and defense, Saint J. Garcia Saturn, agrees to make the preparations. The warrior god of the environment, Saint Marcus Mars, notes that Luluja's citizens had been showing sparks of rebellion. The warrior god of justice, Saint Topman Warkery, says it may serve as an example to others. The warrior god of finance, Saint Ethanburn V. Nujiro, says that they could use this power freely. The warrior god of agriculture, Saint Shepherd Jew Peter, adds that if they can end any protracted conflict. Following the Lavali, Marine headquarters received reports that both the Tajin and Aegis kingdoms are rebelling. Between the disbandment of the 7 warlords of the sea and the uprisings in world government-affiliated countries, the Marines were plenty busy, even though their military power had shifted in a new direction courtesy of the Seraphim, models including versions of Don Quixote da Flamingo, Gecko Moria, and Crocodile. Back in the present, Sabo tells Emporio Ivankov and Monkey D. Dragon that the second he arrived in Luluja, King Seiki and Princess Komain were immediately arrested by the people. He himself was welcomed by the people and realized it was because the people believed the story that he had assassinated Cobra. He did want to tell them the truth, but when he saw how the lie fanned the flames of rebellion in the people, he could not bring himself to do it. Because of Bello Betty and the other Revolutionary Army commanders, several of the inspired people chose to join him. He knew he could not get his hands on an encryption Den Den Mushi, so he rerouted his call through the island as he was setting sail, confident the world government would be fooled into thinking he was still on the island when in reality, he was just within range of the island, having set out to sea. Ivankov asked if Luluja Kingdom's destruction happened during the call, and Sabo confirms, adding that the people from the kingdom became hysterical after losing their families. Dragon is filled with disgust that the world government would annihilate an entire kingdom so callously and asks how they did it, and Sabo reports he saw a large shadow hovering over the kingdom, which Sabo believed was not a living being or a natural disaster, but something flying directly over the clouds. Changing topics, Ivankov asks about the name, Amu, and reveals that one of the first 20 was Saint Amu of the Nerona family. Since they know there exists a means to grant someone everlasting life, they suspect it has been used on someone before already, so that person no longer has to worry about dying of old age. Sabo begins to wonder if Amu is the very same Amu Ivankov is talking about, but he says it could just be a coincidence and that person just shares the same name. At the same time, however, he doubts who else could have the authority to command the 5 elders, the highest of the world nobles. The last thing Ivankov says is that he suspects that the object in the sky was a weapon, and the only one he knows who could make something like that would be Vegapunk. Dragon reminds him that Vegapunk would never create an obvious tool of murder, but Ivankov says he knows this and suspects it is actually one of the ancient weapons. Assuming that Amu has lived since ancient times, he sees a possible connection. Dragon, however, wonders why one would wait until now to use it. Back in Marie-Joise, the world nobles are complaining about their lost food supply, but at the same time, Saint Don Quixote Njosgard has been executed for defending Princess Shirahoshi and Fishmen, and the judge was a man named Saint Figurland Garling, a former champion of God Valley and the supreme commander of God's Knights. So guys, this is the end of One Piece chapter 1086. Thanks for watching.